Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gavinski's tutorials. Today I'm going to do a video on using feedback loops for sound design purposes. So here at the moment, what I've got is just a drone. I'm using this app Cymatics, and now I'm going to start bringing in a little bit of feedback. And that is not interesting at all, right? You can see me bringing that in here. I'll talk about the setup in a minute, by the way. But where it gets interesting is when we start putting effects into the feedback loop and then playing around with feedback. So here I've got GRFX by Imaginando, just doing a little bit of granular processing to that drone. And now I'm starting to bring in feedback, and you can hear already with this tiny little amount of feedback, everything's getting more interesting. We're getting some interesting stuff in the high end, and it's all a lot more unpredictable. Now there, I've really cranked the feedback. So this is one thing I want to say, everybody, and this is just so important. If you're going to play around with this stuff, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you've got a limiter on your output. So I'm here using the, I forget if this is Amazing Noises or ApeSoft. Let me see. They use the same UI, basically. Amazing Noises, right, yeah. So I'm using Amazing Noises limiter. Now, you can use any limiter, really. Just be careful. Make sure you set the ceiling low enough, just in case you get anything going above it. I've set it to minus 1.5 decibels here. If you don't do that, you are seriously, you can do this without a limiter, but you need to be extremely careful. If you don't use a limiter and you increase the feedback level too much, you can start getting really hot signals and potentially destroy your ears and your speakers, headphones, whatever. So don't make that mistake. So let's show you another couple of examples. So let me bring in Ringatron here. So this is what it's like with no feedback, right? So I mean, the way this is set up at the moment, actually, you can barely even hear it. And now I start bringing in the feedback, and we're getting all this weird stuff. Now that's panned that over to the right, though, for some reason. This is the thing with feedback, it can be very unpredictable. So sometimes I bring in, here I've got an auto panning, well, I've got this set up with motion. So bringing in this panning effect. And that's a lot more interesting now, isn't it? Let me bring in GRFX again. So that's also quite interesting, the two of those together. And the order of things can make a really big difference, of course. Here's another Ringatron. Again, the way this is set up, you're not really hearing anything very interesting yet, but when I start to bring in higher feedback amount, it gets interesting. So we'll look at some more examples in a minute. So first I'll look at how to set this up. So how exactly you do this is going to depend on the host app that you're using. If you're doing this in a digital setup on a laptop or on an iPad, as I'm using here. So here I'm using the host app AUM on my iPad. It's a very good app for doing these kind of things. So first of all, we've got this channel here with the sound that we want to send into the feedback loop, right? So you could use anything here, really experiment. So we have that set up, and then what you need to do is just tap here, like let's say we've got an empty channel. So I put an instrument that I want to use here. Let's just put riffler flow, let's say. Okay, now I'm just going to turn this volume down, we don't need it. So we got Riffler here. Then here, we're gonna tap and go to sends, go to bus send, and then send it to a bus. Now it doesn't really matter what bus you choose. If you're only setting one instance up. If you want to set up two separate ones, then obviously you're not going to want to use A again. But if you want this to go into A as well, then you would choose A, right? In this case, let's just choose B. So I've chosen B here. Now I've got another audio channel, and what I need to do here is tap here and go mix bus, receive from bus B. Now, by the way, just ignore the fact that these are going to C. That's just because I want to sidechain my voice. So yeah, this could say headphone out. It doesn't. This is not important, right? What this says. So then the next thing we need to do is go down to an effect node on this second channel here, and tap here and bus send again, and send to bus B again. And that'll come up like this, and that basically means that there's a feedback loop going when it has this kind of perforated edge, right? And so now be aware of this. Anything that you put, let's just go back to the example that I've already set up over here. This is the basic setup, right? But let's look at adding plugins into that. Anything that you put before this A, that will be before the feedback loop. So if you want, you can add effects before your feedback loop, right? Now, anything that we put in this second channel in between this node, right? So all of these things going down until this point, anything that we put before this second little send thing, all of these are all doing processing inside the feedback loop, assuming that we've got this assuming it's not bypassed, and assuming that we turn the amount up, right? Okay, then this will all be inside the feedback loop. If we take a feedback level all the way down here, then there's no feedback loop anymore. So these will no longer be inside the feedback loop, right? Anything we put here, like this limiter, for example, that is outside the feedback loop, right? This is very important to understand. And it can be a whole interesting level to explore what to put before the feedback loop, what to put inside it, what to put after it, right? So how you set this up will depend on your host. That's how you do it in AUM. So let's look at a few more examples of what can be interesting to play with. So delay can be really interesting. Play around with the feedback amount and the delay time. Now again, do not forget to do this with a limiter, because that sort of thing that you just heard just now is the kind of thing that could get really out of control if you're not using a limiter. No joke, you know. Again, you know, if you turn all your volume levels down very low, you're probably going to be fine, but it's just not worth the risk, and especially if you're not experienced at dealing with this stuff. So, panning can also be pretty interesting. So here I've got the feedback turned down, so let me bring it up. See how crazy that gets? That's no feedback, and that's with a lot of feedback. And of course you can combine these things and experiment with their placement. This is Blease tides I've put into the feedback loop. This is without feedback. This is with feedback. Much more interesting. Far more interesting. I brought the feedback level down again. Here, Blease motion, this can be a really fun kind, sequenced effects are really fun for this kind of thing. This is without feedback. This bringing in feedback. Really nice. Very kind of Mouse on Marsy. And so you're going to get some very high frequencies sometimes. So again, you can use filters, right, to tame those. You could also record them and put your recording down half speed. That can be interesting. So this has a lot of effects that work well with feedback. That's no feedback. That's with feedback. That's a bit crusher. That's with feedback. That's without. That's not that interesting. This is delay. That's really cool. That's me increasing the feedback a lot there. That's no feedback. And that's me putting the feedback up. But maybe sometimes getting some phase cancellation or something maybe going on there. Stuff with frequency shifter can be really interesting. So this is with no feedback. And now I'm bringing feedback level up. You hear now it's getting much more unpredictable. So that's a really good one to do. I've had fun using Loop Mangler with this. This one is with no feedback. This is with feedback. I have videos on most of these apps, by the way. And of course, can be interesting to combine these. Let me jump back. High pass dance, that's that original one. They're pretty nice together. Okay, I've turned the feedback level down again onto the next effect. Fab Filter Saturn 2. Got a video on this as well. Just a sound only demo, pretty cool. Just using this on just pure sine wave. That's increasing the feedback amount. You're going to find sweet spots sometimes. Now this is cool. Needlepoint by Unfiltered Audio. I haven't done a video on this actually. This is really good though. So here I'm just going to play with the pitch. Here we've got no feedback. Now I'm going to bring in feedback. Listen to that. Really fun to play with. I did a video on the new app by Unfiltered Audio, Battalion, a few days ago as well, by the way. Here, Shaper 2. No feedback. Now I'm adding feedback. Listen to that. That's hardcore. And now back to GRFX. So I mean, this could work in a very interesting way with a lot of these different things. Now I'm bringing up the feedback. Listen to that. My God. I turned the volume down a little bit. Brought in glitch core here. Increasing feedback. This is with unfiltered audio needlepoint. Let me bring in the feedback. Again, the order can make a big difference. Let's change the pitch. Bringing in more feedback. Let's change their order. I've got the feedback up. So you get the idea, I think. All right. So this is really fun. Oh, one more thing, actually. So and another cool thing that can be cool to do is remember that some instruments can also be loaded in effects slots. And Salome is pretty interesting. So I did a video on using this as a MIDI controller the other day. I've also done a video on its main use as an MPE sampler. But Salome we can use to to record. So let's say we get something going that we like. Right? I can bring in Salome and I can record that. So I'm recording now. Now I'm stopping. Okay. Now, let me just take off the input sound there. So now I've recorded something into Salome. So note, now Salome is also inside the feedback loop itself. And you see I've set this up to just play a little tiny part of it. I could widen that so we're getting more stuff going on. And so that's increasing feedback level. Right? Let me just put in something. That's a bit muddy. Should probably filter that. This has filters built in, by the way. Just go for a little bit mid-range stuff. And something high. So let me just bring in feedback now. And I can play this. And of course, I can still add in these effects. So for anybody who's a lover of experimental music, especially, this kind of playing around with feedback for sound design is just super fun and interesting, I think. Hope you enjoyed the video, everyone. If you did, please smash the like and so on. If you value my work, I'd really appreciate it if you'd support me on Patreon or one of the other ways that you can find to support this channel in the pinned comment of the video. I really, really need direct financial support of any kind, really, from viewers and developers, because YouTube ad revenue is almost nothing. It's about £80, let's say, I've earned from YouTube over the past 28 days. It's really nothing for the amount of work put in. It's honestly not. Thank you so much to everybody who's supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.